Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Do you read me? Awesome, Atlam. Thank you, my friend. How you doing, by the way? Stuff pulled up. Hey, there I am. I am doing well, thank you for asking. I appreciate it. Hey, Half Ogre, how are you, my friend? Welcome back. Good morning to you. Welcome, one and all, to Mapmaker Monday. My name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is the lovely map making program you see in front of you. It is available on Steam. It allows you to build maps in a snap using our proprietary procedural AI that we developed entirely in-house and programmed entirely in-house and fed full of assets entirely in-house, i.e. it is an ethical and awesome AI. Moving on, today's stream will focus on building a map. We've been building this map a little bit each week for the past for the past couple of months. We basically work on it for about an hour or two each week, and it is a massive cemetery complex that we started in this corner here. The whole map so far is 82 by 82. That could change over time. We have some graves over here, kind of generic graves, and then over here a more like fancy grave site with it all fenced off, probably like an affluent family or royalty or something. Then we have this massive chapel with a bell tower and the garden around it. I just kind of felt like it needed this to feel like it'd been here a while. Usually like old chapels have like very extensive grounds, you know what I mean? At least in the US, like temples or chapels typically do. Anyway, hey Philip Willis, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Or Philip Wills, my bad. Misread that, my bad. The stream was very fun, wasn't it, Atlam? Having a dev on the stream the other day was great. It's always a blast when we get one of the devs online with us. Just makes me wish I could do it more, but alas, it's not always practical. I just wanted to let everyone know I've got chat up on everything now. It took me a minute. The TikTok chat feed was taking a while, and so was Steam. But I do have... let's see here. Yep, I've got YouTube, I've got Twitch, I've got Facebook, I've got Twitter, I've got TikTok and Steam all live right now, so I can see all the chats. And we had a couple of follows just before we went live. I just want to thank Michael Decker and TT RPG Brewster for the follows. Yeah, Saturday's stream was awesome. For anyone that wasn't here, the VOD on Twitch or YouTube is available, and it was a 2-hour stream where we hung out with one of our devs from the dev team, Quentin Van Ravels, and he, answered questions, and we chatted about development and some upcoming things. Pretty cool. Philip, it happens all the time, huh? So when I read your name, I saw Philip, and I see the ILLI, and it just immediately, I for some reason thought your last name was Willis. I don't know why. Anyway, it's like a brain thing, just tricks us. Anyway, welcome to the stream. Hey, we got Atlam and Michelle over on Steam. Yeah, I am about as good of a multitasker as you can be for a streamer, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I'm pretty good at managing all the chats and stuff. But I also kind of bad at it sometimes. I usually have to, in my head, at least once every 30 seconds to a minute, I'll do a pan around and look at all the chats. I don't know. That's why it did it to me, Philip. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you probably already know. I mean, I don't know. Am I shedding light on this for real, or are you trolling me? Honestly, that's why it did it for me. Is because I see, whatever, you know, and it just kind of rolled, and I thought it was like an alliteration or something. I don't know why. Exactly. Chat merger services are great, but the problem is... So there's several that just won't work in that whole system. So like on my multi-stream chat, I can get Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch all in one chat, but the TikTok feed and the Steam feed, no matter what, are separate. There's no way to pull them because there like isn't an API for it. If you know of some way to do it, that would be great. The other thing though is on Twitch, you're not supposed to like make awareness of the chat and other services. So I can't like put the chat on the stream from the other services, or we could lose our channel, which is silly. But none of the other services have that problem, so I don't know what to do. Basically, the Twitch TOS does not allow you to have the chat on stream or merged. Yeah, basically, we used to have the Twitch chat merged with all the others on stream, and then it was pointed out to me their TOS, so I looked at it, double-checked it all, and changed it. Well, I didn't change the TOS, I just changed our approach. Because, yeah, I don't want to lose our channel that I've worked so diligently on. So much went into this channel, you have no idea. The name was squatted on. So when I first started as the community manager, we had to reach out to Twitch and prove we were the owners of the Dungeon Alchemist brand. It took like 2 months and sending them a bunch of paperwork. They finally gave us the account, right? And then after, we wanted to try to get a category as well, which, you know, would allow people in our community to stream to one or people to find it. And that took like a year and a half to get a category, and we had like over 6,000 votes on our like petition. It was like the third highest petition in all of like Twitch petitions, and like Twitch had never acknowledged it or done anything. And then finally I just kind of started like, I don't know, I guess calling them out on social media. I was like, man, I wish we could get a category. And one of their like social media reps reached out to me, and we got a category because of it. Because I was just like vigilant. Honestly, our community went to that petition and voted it up, right? Thousands of times, hundreds of comments. We went through like social media campaigns trying to get notice to it, and it would have hundreds of likes. Tons of people saying we need our own category, and then we never get any like recognition from Twitch that we should get one. No, the reason we couldn't get a category is because they don't really perceive us as a game, technically, and we're not. So the way to get a category on Twitch traditionally is through what a service called IGDB. It's called Internet Game Database or something like that. Anyway, yeah, it was a pain. Anyway, long story short, I definitely, you know, like, I like Twitch. It's a great streaming service, but I do think all of them as a whole are complementary and work great, because I think it allows you as our community to watch where you want. You know, some of you are on YouTube, some of you are on Twitch, some of you are on TikTok. You watch where you're comfortable or where it's easiest for you, and that's fine for me. You know what I mean? That too. I don't really think a streamer nowadays can just be on one service or one platform. You need to be like active in social media. You need to be active on several services simultaneously. And as a brand, it's a good idea too. Oh my gosh, Chow. No! 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 Hey, Run Amok. How you doing? Run amok. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I am gonna put road here, right? And then more of these hedges. Let's turn the grid on. Okay, nah. Oh, I know why it's not showing up. I was like tapping the hotkey, freaking out. Had my transparency off. Or way down. It really depends. You know what I mean? Ricky, I could see how it can be, like, a bad thing to spread yourself too thin, but you also don't want your eggs all in one basket. Take that from someone who is a partnered streamer on Mixer, and that was my only stream platform when they pulled the rug out from under everyone and deleted the site overnight. Just got rid of it. So... it honestly is a good idea to have your eggs in several baskets as a content creator. If you're streaming, multi-streaming is a good idea. Especially because services like Streamlabs offer multi-streaming that's integrated and rather simple. You know, for at least 4 or 5 services simultaneously. I'm really hoping they add TikTok chat soon, because it would be nice to be able to manage that from there. Because I stream to TikTok from there, and I stream to Steam from there, but I can't, like, I don't know. It's frustrating. Y'all are getting ahead of yourselves. It like... If we made a service, it would be only dams, by the way. You... Only dams, right? Because, you know, when you save a map in Dungeon Alchemist, it's a DAM file. Ah, this is coming along. Ooh, looking good. Oh my, I like it. Phil, it's cool, don't worry. Right? That's what they think. It's only damsels, right? No, it's actually only maps. Swifty. Michelle, you're everywhere. You're like Atlam. All right, everyone. Today we're going to make a happy little map. First, we're going to add some road. When I'm adding stone road, I like to underscore the road with natural stone. Yeah, Bob Ross ASMR. Map making ASMR. I think it could be a hit. So I go under, this is going to be the foundation for the road. If I went over it with just the road cobble, notice the green and dirt peeks through, and it looks kind of weird in those spots right here, right? For some, it's because there's actually no brush happening there when it paints on, so it leaves that clear space there and sees what was beneath it. So I like to use a more prominent brush first. I'll go over the area with a brush that covers everything, so in this case, a stone brush. I guess you could fill it with like some darker dirt underneath, and it kind of might look good with the cracks because it has dirt in the cracks. But in my opinion, I like it to just kind of all look like stone. Now, the reason I'm using terrain brushes to make a road is it's freehand, and I have more control over it, and honestly, I really just kind of liked the way this kind of panned out. It looks like it was just laid out with a bunch of stones and with whatever they found when they were digging things up. So I'm going to kind of at least get some of this started so we at least know there's a road here, right? I'm also using a smaller brush because I don't want to bleed over to the edge and have to redo my work. And when you're using the terrain brush, I like to let go of my clicks once in a while and then click again because they act as a solid undo step. And the longer you've been painting, it takes forever to undo. And you may have to undo a ton of work if you make a simple mistake. So just do yourself a favor and every once in a while let go of your left click button so it resets the, or kind of refreshes the undo, so it'll be several steps instead of just one big one. Now, I'm going to go back over it with this brush. Now it looks paved on top of the stone, right? Which you would, I mean, usually when you're making a stone road, you would tamper, like dig it out flat, tamp out the ground, right? And then you would put like a layer of gravel and then a little bit bigger stone and then the biggest stone. Now what you're gonna do is insert a nice little hedge. This happy hedge right there. This hedge is minding its own business, but it knows that its job is to make sure no one crosses this line. That looks really good. Little off center, I'm noticing though, but I can just kind of whoop. So I don't know what this is, but there's like a new trend with like streaming services and televisions that they offer like IPTV, and it's not just like, you know, shows that are, you know, old shows that like they have all the seasons of and you can watch in a binge. What it is it plays them like in their like broadcast order, like it's a TV show, and it just plays that one show on that channel. So like my Samsung TV has a bunch of IPTV or internet TV channels that are like, as long as it's connected to the internet, it has like hundreds of channels, music channels, Portlandia all day. There's a tiny home TV channel. It's kind of cool to watch them craft stuff. There's an Oak Island all day. So I noticed Amazon is also doing this too. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is my wife, I walk in on her the other day and she's watching Bob Ross on Amazon. And I'm like, what is this? And she goes, oh, there's a Bob Ross channel. And she just leaves it on while she's like, you know, drawing on her tablet. And it just made me laugh. I was like, oh, that's cool. There is a channel on Amazon that is just Mythbusters all day. Just Mythbusters. One episode after another. Mac, I finally figured out how to explain my idea for AI UI. First selection, be only types of rooms. Second, where the specials are and make them okay. Okay, continue. A Rickroll channel. All it is just the best song in the world. Oh my gosh, he actually rickrolled a bunch of people like a month ago. He was like, oh my gosh, after all this time, they've removed my video from YouTube. And people were like, what? And they were like freaking out. You go look, and it is just the video's fine. He's just rickrolling everyone again. Because he's that good. Trying to get it right to the stair. It's the copyright safe music channel. It's just the first 3 seconds of every song of all time, just like over all day. Actually, they are working on. I mean, there are snapping, but I'm off grid, and so it's kind of problematic. Plus, I'm not even using a fence right here. This is a wall sunk into the ground. I'm kind of off. I'm off the map right now, my man. So I'm doing stuff that's a little bit like not normal mapping. When Mac builds a map, you know some crazy stuff's happening. That's all you gotta say. I'm showing you all the tips and tricks, the inside hacks and tracks. But yes, Saturday we had a dev on the stream. One of our developer team, Quentin Van Ravels, was here answering questions. And one of the questions that was asked was, we were talking about the object brush and some of its quirks. And then it came up that he is actually developing a kind of wall drawing tool. It wouldn't necessarily be a spline tool, but it would be kind of similar in that you could draw out walls much more quickly. He also is working on what's called a modular object tool, which allows you to quickly build out systems of objects that link together, like rails or pipes or things like that. So you can make a quick, railroad or a quick whatever. DA is not a VTT, no. Now, that being said, Dungeon Alchemist is a map maker first and foremost. And then it's an immersion utility. So it has some tools that allow you to get in close and do things, like take pictures or video. You can place a grid and put a token on it. At the end of the day, though, despite our best efforts saying Dungeon Alchemist is not a VTT, that really doesn't stop a lot of people in our community from using it that way. There is an entire subset of, map makers that use Dungeon Alchemist as an in-person VTT for TV tabletop, because it's great in that regard. You have the grid, you can disable the user interface, and then just put your tokens right on top of your screen, and then just kind of move the user interface around as your players explore it, right? So it's a great way to do TV tabletop or projector tabletop. And I've actually seen some DMs play online with their players, and they'll just ask them to say where they want to move, and then the DM will move their token. So essentially, the game is entirely played in DA. And it takes some discipline to do that. But essentially, a lot of DMs out there already manage all the rules and roles and all that data themselves, right? Old school. Instead of using a virtual tabletop to supplement all that. And streamline it. So if they're already doing that already, they can kind of just do the rest. Or if you're transitioning from, say, a Theater of the Mind game, it's not a big change. But I will say Dungeon Alchemist, after we leave early access, Dungeon Alchemist will likely get some more VTT Lite type features. The devs have said they would like to pursue that, in so much that, just a few things, like Fog of War, possibly dice rolling and stuff like that, just to help the localized play. I don't know if there will ever be any multiplayer, like online features, but who knows? But there are a lot of people in chat right now that use Dungeon Alchemist as an in-person VTT, and I'm sure they can speak to it as well. I would love to hear everyone's insight or feedback on that, or if you use it to play online. I mean, I played in a couple of games where the DM would essentially stream the first-person perspective where we were at. They'd follow along, the top-down view wherever we were in Foundry. And then, if we asked them to go take a closer look, we'd be like, hey, could you go down these stairs here and take a closer look at what's on these, in this garden on top of this set up here underneath the gondola, the pergola. Can you take a closer look for us so we could see it through our character's eyes? And then they would walk over and take a look, and you're like, oh man, there's some blood there. I wouldn't have seen that in top down. What's the story here? Can I do an investigation on this? You know what I mean? I mean, Shlomo, our maps export directly to many VTTs. Foundry, Roll20. You mean you would like it to be like a direct live feed, i.e. it's like stream feed into it? Essentially, what you would need is a VTT that has video feed input, not a video file, but a live video feed, like a stream feed, you know, or it could select an input or like a file or not a file, an application or, you know, feed from another computer through like a capture card or something, and then it would allow it to feed into it. I don't know if maybe Foundry might have a module that offers something that would allow a live video feed. You know, even a camera feed can be turned, like a module that does like a webcam feed could possibly be turned into a feed of DA, because you could just push this out to be something like that. Hey, Lord Rev, how you doing? But yeah, Dungeon Alchemist is compatible with Roll20, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, Above VTT, plus pretty much any virtual tabletop that supports JPEGs, WebM, MP4, or the UVTT format, which is a lot of them. So you have a lot more like versatility in that regard, but yeah, it isn't like a live feed, but there really isn't a virtual tabletop that offers something like that yet that I'm aware of, at least. That I'm confused, Shlomo. Is there a particular VTT that you want us to work with? Because that's exactly how Dungeon Alchemist works. You build the map in it, and then you export it to those virtual tabletops. Are you trolling me right now? Can't tell if trolling or not. Oh, you were just agreeing with me? Okay, cool. Sorry, I misunderstood you. She's like, I just wish Dungeon Alchemist was compatible with Foundry and Fantasy We're like, wait a second, it is. That's what I thought you were saying for some reason. Oh, nice. Tales of Arisia. Are you, like, putting the images of the map inside of DA or something? You had me so confused for a minute there. Shlomo, though, you got me. I feel like that was pretty good. Whether intentional or not, I was, like, questioning my own sanity for a minute. You know, I do that a lot, Philip, but sometimes I forget. So I'll try and be better. Oh, okay, I misread what you said there. I thought you were taking your old campaign cartographer maps and putting them in DA, so I misread that. So you're saying, I'll be showing off my Dungeon Alchemist versions of older maps I made through campaign cartographer on our D&D live stream this weekend. I'm looking forward to using them. That's awesome. Make sure you tweet that and also tag us in the tweet when you go live. And if you could, we have that self-promo section in our Discord. Make sure that when you go live that you post there too, so I can try to attend. I do my best to join in on live streams, but it's kind of hit or miss. A graphics card with Dungeon Alchemist is always a good idea because it is a resource hog. If you can get a good GPU, a good CPU, and a good amount of RAM, it's ideal. I mean, both of my machines have NVIDIA graphics cards. I'm a little partial to them, but also at the same time, I do know AMD makes some really good stuff nowadays. And also, one of my machines has an AMD CPU while the other has an Intel CPU. Right now, most of the Intel stuff, I don't really trust it as far as CPUs are concerned. I trust AMD CPUs. I'm cool with AMD GPUs and or not Intel GPUs, but NVIDIA GPUs. So graphics cards. And then RAM, like the minimum you want for Dungeon Alchemist is like 8 to 16 gigs. I recommend doubling that. Go 32 or more if you can. My DA PC has 128 gigs of RAM and a 4070 Ti. Tito, to make a waterfall, so Tito over on TikTok asks, "Hi bro, I have seen that you can make a waterfall. How do you do it?" You're going to want to open up the Steam Workshop, go to the not the asset importer, browse assets, right? And then just type waterfall. Now, that will get you some waterfall options that are animated. There's kind of like a mist one or just like a straight water. You can combine them even, kind of have two. Something like this. Now, how do you get water at a higher level? That's often a question that people are wondering. You know, like if this water's falling from somewhere, typically the water in Dungeon Alchemist will be, you know, down here, right? That's the only place you can put water. So there's a few tricks to get around that as well. The workshop can help with that as well. There are like water currents, rivers, etc. Animated wave water, river right here. You can also use other things that are quite cool. One of my favorites is the slime cube. The slime cube is straight up OG, original way to make water at a higher level because it looks like water just kind of sitting there, right? You go in and change the color to blue. That's your upper level. Maybe put some rocks around it or some terrain and it looks like it's a river channel. And then you have the waterfall falling off of that. The other way to do it is my personal preference is, here, I'll show you really quick. Let me save this to make sure I save my work. I see a few questions coming in. I'm going to address them one at a time, okay? So like this map here, I put a waterfall in, and this was ages ago I made this. So is there a particular GPU you're looking at? That's an NVIDIA GPU. Like if you go with a 3 or 4 series, you're going to be set, my man, with DA. Like a 3000 or a 4000 series is pretty good for DA. Okay, so this map, what I did is it's a combination of that animated waterfall and then also effects and abstracts. So the mist you see here, this is the effects under the effect panel. So I think it was just like a cold fog or something like that. Just a little wisp of it here and there. And I did it where the rocks are because that's where mist would coagulate, right? So I'm pretty sure I just made it like a really small brush and did like little bits like that. The other thing I did is abstracts. So in Dungeon Alchemist, there are objects that are customizable. And this will answer several questions at once. Someone was asking about how to put blood. Was it Tales of Arisia, right? You were asking how to put blood. So if you go to the abstract panel, you can place one of these abstract like squares down, right? And you can insert images into them. So blood, water, in this case, here is water. These were something my wife just drew in her tablet in like a minute, nothing fancy, and I stretched them out. And then I put all those effects and rocks over it to make them look better. But you can insert any image you want into this. Let's see here. So I have blood as well. There are blood. This is one way to do like custom blood. If you don't have any ability to do like 3D asset creation or importing assets into the work, you know, through the asset importer, you can just add like a stamp of blood anywhere on your map or pools or streaks. But keeping that in mind, on the workshop again comes to save the day a lot of times. The artists who are the most prolific sharers on the workshop, many of them try to find those little niches where we're missing things in Dungeon Alchemist and fill those niches. So Waterfall, Blood Spears, you know, Death and Decay. Dungeon Alchemist will probably never add, too much gore and too much of that stuff, because it'll affect our rating. The only way I foresee us adding stuff like that later would be like as an add-on pack, so it was a separate rating for just that pack. But if you go into the workshop, there are tons and tons of like slimes and blood splatters, and there's generic ones too that are just like gray. If you find one that's gray like these can be turned into any color. So like this slime here, the gray ones are STL files, and STLs have a bunch of colors. So there's some, blood falling from the ceiling or whatever. Or it could be slime, or it could be water, or it could be gold. So I hope I answered those two questions. Okay, did I miss any other questions? Chow Jow asks, Mac, mind showing us again how you got your walls and other assets to stack nicely? Yeah, so you want to build your map with kind of a sort of order of operations, okay? And by that I mean, you have to build it in a certain order in order to get the correct result. It's kind of like when you're doing math, PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Like, you have to do math in a certain order to get the correct answer to the equation, right? So, if you want to build a multi-level structure effectively and easily, use some of the built-in components and structures and tools in DA to your advantage. One is snapping, okay? So what I did when I built this tower, it's a 4-level tower that is completely navigable in first person, except for the front door, because there was no way to add a door to a circle structure when I started building this. Now you can build a circle structure and add a door if you want, on at least the base level. But if you look at this, let me pull it apart one level at a time. We'll take a close look. I might need to disable collisions. Yes, I do. Collisions off. Every one of these floors is kind of a pull apart. So first and foremost, the base level snaps into position here. I held control and it snaps. That's a kind of a hotkey in DA. If collisions are off, objects that normally would snap no longer snap, but you can get them to re-snap again by holding control. Next, now that I've got it snapped into a snap place, that means anytime I want to get something matching right above it, I just snap it into place. So another trick here, order of operations, is I built everything in each room on a single object. So the stair, all the sacks of flour, the table, all the shelves, the walls even, are on this one stone slab. Meaning it's stacked on top of it. I can move it as a single unit. Does that make sense? I can also, if collisions are off, I can raise and lower them as a single unit. Next, once I've gotten the first slab in place, I just kind of decorated the second floor off to the side. And once it's all decorated, I hold control, pull it over, and snap it into place. I did put a little bit of forethought by, this staircase will line up with this hole here. A creator in our community, Swedish cook, very talented map maker and 3D artist, made these floor pieces and special stairs as I was making this map and collaborated with me on it. So it actually came together quite nicely. All of the colliders on these stairs function so you can go up and down them to a degree and navigate through the spaces. Next, here's the next room. Notice how it snaps neatly into place. So essentially, you need to make sure you disable collisions so you can raise objects up and down. You need to make sure you use a snapping point so it's very easy to align the floors from the bottom to the top. And then make sure that everything you're building, if you can, on that floor is stacked on it. Not floating, nothing. You only want the floor itself to float. That way everything on it moves as a single piece. And remember, things like undo are your friends. Control Z, you can go step back, or Control Y to redo. Allows you to navigate the space, even if you, or fix things maybe if you messed up. Does that make sense? Yeah, basically I built the floor on the ground level all on top of the circle piece, the slab, and then I raised it up a bit, just kind of eyeballed it to see if it was at the right height, snapped it, and then if it was too high, you'll be able to see a gap, and if it's too low, it'll be cutting in. You just got to kind of raise it and lower it until you get it just right. But as you can see here, this space is quite cool and navigable. We've got the observatory. I actually, this roof, the lovely Mrs. Mack made that for me, and we worked together on the idea. It's like a shingled spire roof with like that wire running down from the weather vane at the top, so I could have this whole like electrical setup that I wanted to kind of be something that's like these arcane batteries that drive the mechanisms inside of this massive telescope. So you got the bedroom, bathroom area, a little bit of, some treasure and wardrobe, some magic items, stuff like that. My puppy, Seymour, hiding out there. Down here we have the study and laboratory. Got some formulas on here. One of these is actually a formula for, I think, chocolate chip cookies. Like a alchemical formula for it. Little Alchemist station and library. And down to the bottom floor, the hearth kitchen area. Got shelves, food, the exit, drink, spare stores of food, and then an escape hatch is there. Which, if you follow this, there is in fact an escape tunnel down here in the back. Oh, I forgot to put a ladder in there. I should do that. Anyway. Hey, see you later, Swifty Goth. So if a bigger floor, like if you're doing squares or something, yeah, you're going to want to snap all the squares at that height. So here, let's start a new map and I'll just show you. We kind of got distracted from my build, which is a bummer, but it's okay. I don't mind showing y'all stuff, so we'll keep it busy and do that. So I gotta ask, do we have anyone watching right now on Facebook or Twitter? I don't mean to call anyone out, I'm just curious. So someone was asking about stacking up multi-level really nicely, I believe, earlier too. So the walls, if you want these ones to stack. So, like, let's say I wanted a second floor above this, right? First and foremost, I'm going to go into object walls under structural, okay? We have every single wall type as a freestanding wall, i.e., you can find every wall type in this menu in here. Unfortunately, they're not very well organized. But, again, using the snapping technique that I showed you, first off, disable collisions. We're going to raise it up a little bit. Going to get it just the right height. Now, this one is at the right height, and if I hold shift when I place them from now on, they'll all snap in. And I'm holding control and shift to do this, by the way. You could do this up several levels of walls with flat walls or round walls. Up until like the height limiter of the map. You know what I mean? Okay, next. If you want to put flooring in there to go up to the next level, maybe you just wanted a vaulted ceiling. Or maybe you want some flooring in here. There's several ways to approach the flooring dilemma. Wooden platforms or stone platforms, many of them have these like kind of pillar things, so you can start putting those a couple in for extra levels. In the past, this was kind of the way everyone did extra levels, but you have so many pillars, so you may want to use them in a few places, but not everywhere, okay? Next, you have things like platforms and planks. Hold on. Trying to find a very specific. So there's these stone platforms. These work great in stonework or in woodwork. You get it up to the right height. Snap, snap. Might even need a little bit higher. Or you could just take and use one and make it larger. But the problem is they don't snap as cleanly if you make it big, right? Also, how is that supporting itself? So it's probably best to use a wood one. This was the one I was going for. This platform is amazing. It snaps. It's wood. You could put some pillars under it, right? Like this guy. Put a big pillar in the corner and it makes sense, like how that is supported, right? So this could be your second floor, and then you just got to strategize where your staircase goes up. In my opinion, it's safest to always use upstairs. Downstairs are great, but downstairs will always cut a hole into your ground. No matter what, they'll countersink a hole into the ground, and they cannot be resized. So they're great like in a room, but I don't like them when you're going up. And honestly, I don't really care for them when going down, because an upstair also can function as a downstair. It's this crazy thing how stairs work in both directions. And, I just want to point that out to everyone. The stair in your home, if you have one, you don't have an upstair and a downstair, right? You just have a staircase. Template, what do you mean, Phil? Please ask. I'm not sure what you mean in there. Did I miss something? Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a question. My Steam is frozen. Okay, it's back. Just refreshed it. Okay, what was the question? Retype it and I'll get it. Oh, are we asking about map tracing? Okay, yeah, I'll show you. Yoan and Illogical, thank you for the like and the follow in the last few minutes. Sorry, here's the thing. While I'm doing the stream on occasion, I may miss, some messages. So if I miss something, either just ask again or, be adamant with me. Because ultimately it's not me ignoring you. I'm only one person running this show at the moment, so I'm bound to make mistakes or miss things. Ah, gotcha. Yeah, oh, the streamer. Yes, Tales of Arisia. Gotcha. I finally get your name right, by the way, right? So if you look at this from a first-person perspective, you're definitely starting to get like a flooring kind of situation going here. It only took me like 2 weeks, right? To get it right. Gotcha. So Tales of Arisia also streams his campaign here, and he was converting some of his old maps from a different map making program into a new one. So it really just needs some kind of jumping back into the multi-level here. It needs some pillars, and it would look like it's supported better, right? This is kind of the only way to do it until the next update. I'm glad that you see it as an upgrade. You know, I don't really see most of those other like map making companies as competitors. I see them as like complementary in most cases because a lot of them do things that we don't offer, for instance, and we do things they don't offer. So in some cases, you know, like I say this a lot, but I think it's true. A carpenter cannot, you know, do their job with just a hammer, right? They need a saw, they need, you know, they need nails, they need all these different things to be an effective carpenter, right? Now, Phil, you say you want to potentially trace a map, right? Down here in the bottom left corner is this guy right here. That is the tracing tool. It allows you to either put effects on your map, like a compass element, labels, so you like hunting lodge, okay, stuff like that. You could put a frame around your map. We only offer the one frame at the moment. You can import custom images. People will use this to put their brand on the map if they sell maps, or maybe like art from their campaign, so it's like immersive, or maybe like, you know, all sorts of stuff. This is custom. You can do what you want there. This particular one, though, Trace Overlay, allows you to import images of whatever, in this case, another map if you want to, and then use it as a basis for tracing the map. So you could import... Hold on. Say you have like a really simple map that you want to try and trace, or build a, you know, you have a floor plan you want to try and trace. So I just imported this map here. Is obviously a cave, but you could see, like, if I wanted to build a cave like that matches this, I could try. Does that make sense? The labels are great too, because when you export your map, the labels are there. So they're part of that. So you can actually, what I recommend doing, make a master version of your map, save it, right? It's all done. Then do save as, right? Save as, and then make a split version and call this one, this name of the map, labels, right? Then go through, label the map, because you may not want all the labels on the map in your VTT. So this way you have a map without all the labels and a map with all the labels. At the end of the day, too, you have one button to remove every single overlay if you need to, but it's nice to not lose all your work either. Oh, Philip, okay, I saw you chatting with Dag yesterday. A little bit. By the way, our wiki has more information on the tracing stuff and kind of breaks it down a little bit more in depth, for sure. I believe we could get you a link for that if, yeah, YouTube. Can you, yep, thank you. Send him the wiki. There is a section there about map tracing, and it kind of goes into more information. One particular thing that's great about our map tracing is we actually, like, I went out of my way to make this happen. I reached out to Don John, the creator of Don John Maps. Yeah, let's see if that site's back up, because the other day it was down. Oh, no. Oh, it is back up. Okay. So Don John, you can generate like entire dungeons or like maps in a second, right? A couple of clicks, but they're very primitive, right? So like very simple layouts, and when you construct the dungeon, it'll have numbers, and it gives you like a text document that says what's in each room and like the interactions for it. So it's like a really simple like pen and paper map. So I actually coordinated with Don John to get his maps and our maps to match. Deb, we at some point will do localization for more languages, but it will have to wait until we leave early access. Dungeon Alchemist is in like a very constant state of development, and it will take a while until we can get to that point. So Deb on Twitch or TikTok asks, really love the concept. Will there be a French version in the future? So right now, English only. In the future, we plan to add localization for quite a few languages. Love the app. Scooby Doofus says, wish I could do modern contemporary maps. You can actually, using assets from the workshop. So I just generated this dungeon. I'll show you that in a minute, Scooby Doofus, if you're still around. But notice the map generated, it says 39 by 51. So if I made a map that's that exact size or even double, this map here will match in it tracing perfectly. So I'm just going to download this. And when you download the map, it actually shows the size of it in the name. Let's go to my desktop. Scooby Doofus, are you still there? I want to make sure I answer your question. Okay, give me just 1 second, okay? Hey, Unseelie, how you been, my man? I missed you around these parts. What you been up to, brother? Okay, so remember that map I just showed you I generated on that other website in like 3 clicks? I'm going to open the tracing layer, click it, add it. That map is on my desktop. Let me find it. Forsaken Caverns of Gano the Sorcerer. Okay, whatever. Check this out. This is going to blow your mind. I just enabled the grid, but let me make it a little bit more bright so you can actually see. That map I just downloaded and our map match perfectly, grid to grid. So it's a perfect trace. So you could go through and start, oh, I want to add a little dungeon cell over here. We'll do a hallway there. We'll generate all this hallway. And it carves into the rock surfacing, making a dungeon for you automatically. I could turn off the grid. I can leave on the grid with Alt-G. Let's put a room here. What should we put there? Let's put a dissection room, shall we? Then over here, we'll put a laboratory because it's quite big. Now, I made a mistake when I started generating this. I noticed I didn't actually use walls, but I can work around that. So I generated the AI without walls, windows, or doors. You can click the AI settings before you generate a room. You can say no objects, no lights, no walls, no windows, no doors, no floors. So in this case, in a cave, it works out fine because you don't need those things. Caves are kind of naturally like that. I'm just going to go into the raise cave tool, make it really big. And I'm going to carve the rock kind of back to normal by raising it in. And this will actually make the walls solid. Wherever you see that black kind of solid surface on top, that will export as a wall in your VTT of choice. Because it creates a wall anywhere that surface is. And this only takes a few seconds. I'm just using the raise cave wall tool. Now, I can go through the tracing tool, just kind of show you. I'm gonna make this a little bit more transparent. I'm gonna go back to my token here. Let's pop a token in here and just walk around and see what we just made. So this looks like it was just carved into the natural rock. This is how I like to do like natural rock carved stuff. I also love to walk through in first person because you find doofy stuff like this that the AI does. It's like, here's a lamp right in the middle of your walkway. No one would do that. So you got to fix the AI sometimes and kind of, adjust little things. But this is a good way to make like a natural cave feel. I mean, you kind of can, Scooby Doofus. So we offer the asset importer here, right? So you could sell asset packs as long as they're compatible through that, through like a Patreon or something similar. There's people in our community who make free assets and put them on the workshop to share because that has workshop integration. And then they advertise their for sale assets. We also have map makers as well. But unfortunately, I don't see like a marketplace anytime soon. Walls typically Okay, walls don't use up a whole square. They use up like a line in between. If I wanted to add a wall here, for instance, right? Let's say I wanted to add some like stone walls in this. So Scooby Doofus, really quick, let me answer your question about contemporary maps. If you go on the workshop, there's tons of modern maps. Like this one here is like a post-apocalypse type situation. So it has some modern, some detritus, some messed up stuff. There's all sorts of assets that are available through what is either the browse asset section that classify as modern or, you know, just postmodern or pre-modern. And then if you go onto the workshop and say download a map that has those assets in it, it will automatically trigger the download of all those assets too. So you could find a map on here and be like, hey, this one has a lot of modern assets, download that, and it gets them all for you. So right now our asset importer supports STL, FBX, and GLTF/GLB files. So if you can sculpt assets that are one of those three, you can potentially import them or just sell them as packs. So let's get back to thin walls here really quickly. I'm just going to do some like stone that we could kind of like interject with this. Isn't this working? Oh, it's because I didn't put a floor in there. It won't let me put a wall. Funny. Too funny. Because I left it floorless here. Let me fix that 1 second. Let's go in here. Go to something like that. Actually, let's do natural. Let's fill it with the rock. So in any room, you can take and add walls to it, right? I'm just going to regenerate this space with walls. And we'll click this. So just added those walls back. It's like, oh, there's no doors here, actually. Try it one more time. Oh, it did one of them. We'll add the other one manually here in a second. Okay, so let's say I wanted to add a room within this room, right? Like a nice little thin wall. You could select the room you want, add a second room. You could split that room even further. Let's say you wanted a weird shaped room within the room. Draw the room, right? Using the room tool. And then you could take this and do like a curve or like a corner. That just makes a little pocketed room in that room. So remember... Oh, Unseelie Seth, I'm really sorry you've been going through the ringer, my man. You know, I will say this, Scooby. The Steam Workshop does have a way to sell stuff on there, so you could potentially look into that and see if you could, you know, upload stuff to the workshop and put it behind a paywall. So you see how you could just have all sorts of weird shapes within them. So when you use the room tool, it'll do thin walls. Sometimes people want thick walls that are like a fortress wall. That's a completely different story than these. You wouldn't want to use the room draw tool for that. Okay. Is there any questions I've missed in the last little bit? Because I've been so focused on this tracing thing. Yeah, of course. You can either do a freestanding. Here, let's just draw. I'll just draw a big tavern here. There are. This is true, but I'm just showing how the room tool works. So, got this room here. Let's say I wanted a sub room within it, or just, you know, a wall. You could do a hallway. You can, you know, you do all sorts of stuff with this. You can do them one at a time if you wanted to. Just little splits. So you just use the place wall tool. You know, that's a good idea. However, I think our next damn challenge is actually going to be 8.5 by 11. We're going to do a small size maps, see what people can make. And then another way to place walls wherever without using the wall tool. See, these walls in this wall tool can only be placed if there's a floor, i.e. a room has to be drawn and a floor placed like this would, okay? It can't go on this terrain. But if you go into the object menu, okay, there are hundreds of thousands of objects that are structural objects, including every single wall type, platforms, stone platforms, wood platforms, metal platforms. I really love the stone platforms. These work great as like city walls, fortresses. Check this out. So, what you do, let's just snap one of them into place. I'm going to disable collisions. I'm going to sink this guy down just a little bit into the ground, right? I'm holding shift as I place these. These are 5 foot thick. So now I have 10 foot thick walls that are 5 feet high. Well, let's make them taller if we want. Holding shift and control so they just snap into place. These work great as, like, you know, barricades, stuff like that. You can run stairs up them. You can put, you know, like battlements, cannons, all sorts of stuff. Doors, as long as there's a floor, yes. Doors can only be placed on a foundation. So anywhere in this like room, there's walls and around it. So there does need to be a wall on either side, but as long as it's a singular wall, it'll work. So technically, here's a trick. Like, let's say you want a door in the middle of nowhere, kind of like a Narnia door. Does anyone want to know how to do that? Here, let's see if we can do it. So I placed a piece of ground. I'm going to change this to a more natural, something grass-like. Maybe a meadow. That's too green. Too green. Too green. Anyway, it is kind of in a divot, so it looks a little strange. But as long as I have some ground there, now I can place a door. Oh, maybe not. Thought I could do it. Hold on. What is going on? Oh, no, wait. I gotta press a wall first. I'm a little dim today. 1 second. I'm gonna do something natural looking. Am I crazy? What is going on? There we go. Place the door. And then I was just using the wrong tool, so my bad. Put a little door on that. We can even match the aesthetic. So now there's just like a door going to nowhere, right? So essentially you draw a single square room, right? Make sure it has, you just put a single wall on it. Ugh. I want to raise that up so it's a little bit more level. Then you go into the tiles, try and pick something natural looking. You know, you can use ground or dirt or even stone if you want. So it's like, what is this stone doing here? Like this random bit of whatever. Anyway, grass is usually the go-to. Something like that. You just want to try and get it matching, but not perfect. You could also cover it with like plants and stuff if you're not happy with it. But then once you have the kind of ground set up, pick your wall. There's hundreds of wall types. We could do something natural looking, like a hedge. Oops. Then we're going to go to place the wall, right? I don't think that one's tall enough. Hopefully it is. I don't know if that one will support a door. We'll see. Then lastly, pick a door. So you have all these different door types. Again, you could go with an arched hedge if it's a singular one like this, right? Now, one cool thing about arches, all arches in DA, you can actually put portals in them. So that's a fun way to mess with it, even if it's in a building. If it's an archway door, you can add a portal to it. Just a fun little feature. We added in the magic update. So now we have this like just arch in the middle of nowhere. You know, if you really wanted to have some fun with this, we could go into the object menu, the object brush. Let's go to nature. I'm gonna select me some mushrooms. We'll do a circle. Got a little fairy ring around it for fun. Mondu, why don't you hop on that upvoting, my friend? Okay, I'm gonna get back to my map because I did so little building today so far. I've been answering a lot of questions, and I do not mind, but I'm gonna get back into building while I answer questions instead of jumping from concept to concept. You know what would be funny is if I picked the Donjon map and then everyone used that, right? And made a different version of the map with the same trace. So it'd be like 20 different maps or 10 different maps all with the same, like the same trace layer. It'd be kind of cool. Hey, Phil, no problem. You can keep answering questions, but I'm just going to continue focusing on this build here for a while is all. So if you have questions, concerns, do not hesitate. Also, I appreciate your willingness to learn. You know what I mean? Oh, man, Mondu, I feel so bad about your PC, brother. Ah, it hurt my heart when you told me that. Mondu got a new PC shipped in, and his SSD is DOA. So his computer's drive, the main drive in it, is toast. I just feel bad. I know you were so hyped, my man. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, keeping your mind active is one way to do it. I mean, doing maps and like little puzzles, you know, challenging yourself. One thing, Philip, is you'll learn that there's a lot of ways to accomplish the same task in Dungeon Alchemist, and that's a good thing. It means the tool is well-rounded in kind of like Photoshop. Photoshop, there's like 10 different ways to accomplish the same different task. So what I mean by that is you'll find your flow and things that work for you and, you know, the way you like to use it, but also challenge yourself and learn from it. Our community is so clever and shares really awesome designs constantly on the Steam Workshop. Take a look at some of these maps, maybe download them, take a look at them, because it shows you what's possible in Dungeon Alchemist. I love how it really can kind of like give people ideas and they can learn from them. You can reverse engineer their map and kind of pull it apart. Hey, see you later, Highland Lass. Thank you for being here. All-in-one favorite button. What do you mean? Can you elaborate, please? Oh yeah, what'd you get to distract yourself? That looks so clean. Trying to figure out what to do with this dead space. Me want cookies! Thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Written out. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, I should be getting my physical book any day now. I'm really excited. Sorry about that. Just had a question come through. Hey, see you, Rev. Thank you for being here, my man. It is a Magikarp on my headrest. Would you like to see my hat? It's actually a hat. Okay, let's put Magikarp on. It's a hat, not a real Pokemon. I'm just going to point that out. Gotcha. Well, they're all technically separate categories, so that's why they're in separate spots. So I understand why you would like them all in one place, but like the objects has their own favorites and the Windows has their own favorites, etc., etc. But I get it. The reason they are separated is because they're technically distinct categories, is all. I do hope so. At some point, though, we offer like an enhanced version of favorites, a workflow. Like the other day, we talked about this on our dev guest stream, was potentially doing something akin to like a toolbar on the bottom of the screen. Like in like RPG games and stuff like that, where you have, 1 through 10 square slots, and you can put whatever you want in those slots. So in this case, it could be a door, it could be an object, it could be, a tool, like the erase object tool, you drag it over there, or something, and it automatically goes to that. By the way, I just turned my mouse highlighter on. Sorry I didn't have it on this whole time. I mean, honestly, it doesn't take too long, and mainly it's all these things on the left side here are hotkeyed. So it really just have to press a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then click on favorites. So it really doesn't take that long at the end of the day. They go up to 8, by the way. All of these are hotkeyed up to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you want to speed up your workflow, definitely learn our hotkeys. They help tremendously, and on our wiki is a page dedicated to every hotkey, including a secret one. Okay, let's draw the road out. But that's part of kind of a practice flow. I mean, there's no shortcut to getting better at something. You got to practice to get better, right? Practice makes perfect. So, I mean, obviously DA is simple and offers some like simplicity and ease of use and speed in certain aspects. But if you want to very much critique your builds and make them custom, you're going to have to put in a little bit of effort no matter what. And that's, you know, just a learning process, upping your, you know, you're leveling up, so to speak. So what I was going to do is have over here be some like pauper graves, like, I don't know, maybe not. These could be fancier. I don't know. I could do something here. And then also, yes, they did unseal Seth. By the way, if you want to look at all our patch notes from the past, just go to the help menu and read patch notes. You can see all past updates. But yeah, round and diagonal rooms are definitely in DA already. You draw the room. So let's say you wanted a diagonal room. These dots on the corner here, this is how you make a round or diagonal room. You pull them inward so you can make like ellipses. If you pull it outward, it's like a bite into it, right? And if you pull the dot to the side before you pull in, it makes a straight cut. You can also rotate the structure or raise it or lower it before you generate it. All of these things were included in our last update. If you want to make a perfectly round room, the room has to be equally divisible in order to be perfectly round. That's because a round structure has to be equal on all sides, right? To be a circle. So you can't do, and the reason that doesn't work in DA with odd numbers is because the squares can't be split in half in DA. So you have to have an even number of squares to make it equally divisible. So 10 by 10, 6 by 6, 20 by 20, all of those can make a circle. And you pull that into roughly halfway, and then once you get two of them, it's pretty easy from there. You can raise this up and make a tower, or sink it into the ground, have like a pit, something like that. Generate. Let's make it daytime so we can actually see what I'm doing here. Clean. Honestly, the wiki is a great resource. I mean, it's like our manual for DA right now, and it's constantly changing and getting updated. It's full of really useful resources and information. The Discord is great too, but you really have to link up with someone who's willing to help you, or one of the staff members has to be available. So like today, where you linked up with me and I'm answering all your questions, that's perfect, but that's not always the case. You know, I don't work 24 hours a day. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's the wiki is very helpful in that regard. I mean, you can just clutter them yourself at the end of the day. So the pre-configured tables that you see here in DA, they're called essentially what's called a variant, okay? So like this tavern table, they're pre-configured versions of the table. There's only 2 of them that are pre-decorated. If you don't like what it's putting out, you can just put out a table and decorate it. Fill it up with whatever you want. Put a stein on it, put some food. At the end of the day, you don't have to use the pre-configured notions of what's there. With time, we do plan to expand, add more stuff. But yeah, it is kind of silly that there's only like 2 tavern tables. I tried to get that improved some time ago, but I think eventually we're planning on just giving you the ability to make variants, i.e. groupings of objects. So you could save a pre-decorated table as like a prefab and take it from map to map. That is likely going to be added in our next update. By the way, any table or object that's pre-decorated, before you place it, i.e. finalize its location, if you press tab, it will jump between all the pre-configured variants. Unseelie Seth. Oh yeah, I had a question from like 3 months ago. The green background is for exporting and removing the background, right? Correct. That or superimposing a live background onto it. So let's say you're a streamer, you can superimpose environments onto it like a live video feed of water, clouds, whatever. Or you can remove the background and use, things to, like you can make things from it. So like one thing I did was I made a tile. Let me show you what I've got here. So this is our subterranean drill that I put on a green screen backdrop, right? I ran it through a video editor, and I was able to remove the backdrop and export it as a WebM, which this is technically transparent in this version of the video. It's just black in the video player because there's no background. But just to give you an idea, there's a little drop shadow on it so you can kind of see. Now, what is the point of this, you're wondering, Mac? What is this for? How can I use this? How could I possibly make use of this? This silly, stupid thing. Exactly. Someone's 2 steps ahead there, Unseelie is, making it into a tile. Now, you could do this for any animated object in DA. You could also do it for roofing. To make it the foreground layer. So let's say you build a map, right? It's a little village. And you have the village all laid out. And then you decided, you know what? I want roofs on these. So you went and found some roofs on the workshop. Right? So you went through and you download a bunch of roofing options. Roof. So if you put these on the buildings, you could save 2 versions of the map, one with the roof and one without. The one without would be your background layer. And then you could take all the roofing and change the map over to a green screen background and then export it with just the roofing present, right? And then snip all that green out in like Photoshop, and then you have a foreground layer. You would have to import the asset to the workshop through the asset importer to make custom ones at this time. So the asset importer is the only way to make custom assets that you can save and are pre-configured exactly how you want, like a prefab. However, it's very likely our next update will incorporate a tool that allows you to say decorate a table and then save it as a pre-configured prefab. I just explained that, but I'll explain it one more time because apparently I didn't make myself clear. But 1 second here. I'm going to hurry and generate a map. So, very quickly, I'm just going to make a very simple house to demonstrate this, right? Little farm that's like rectangular. Nothing crazy. Oops, I don't have any of the AI on. Let's see here. Okay, so I've got this building here, right? Let's say I file, save, right? I have this, I export this map, right? The forest layout with the house. That's one export. That would be the background layer in your VTT of choice, i.e. the lower layer, okay? The foreground is above, the background's below, okay? Next, you would save as this map, make a split off version of the exact same map, looks exactly the same in size, same home, right? Once you have that, you go to your biome, change the biome to green screen. This will get rid of everything outside of the house. It no longer exists in this version of the map, okay? Next, you take one of the roofs. In this case, I'm just going to use one of the stock baby ones that we have that are like kind of basic, but it'll work in this case. Cover the house with a roof. For argument's sake, let's just say this is a perfect fit, okay? You then export this map as well. This map is the exact same size as the previous map that's just this, right? With the ground outside. You would then take this image of this map and put it into like Photoshop, any photo editor, and then you would remove the green using, you know, like a select and remove a color. So in Photoshop, you can select the color and remove it all from the image backdrop and then save it as a PNG. So the background will be blank, invisible PNG. And then the top will be the roof. Yeah, unfortunately, the green screen messes with the lighting in my stream stuff. There might be a collection. You're probably going to need to just look in the collection setup there. There is quite literally hundreds of roofs. I don't know if anyone's put them into a collection, meaning they're all like one thing. But at the end of the day, see, I probably should have made that line up better. What this does in say, like Foundry, is you'll have 2 layers of your backdrop. And when your players go under the foreground layer, like a roof or a bridge or a sign, it peels it back so you could see inside. It automatically, like, disappears. Now, moving back to the previous thing I was talking about, in this map, I added a tile of, which is it, this one? Tile controls? Of that drill. The drill, it can be resized, it could be reshaped, it could be rotated, and it's animated and moved. Now, just to give you an idea, this map is a mine that I made some time ago. There's the drill there. I wanted to give the players an option to drive it off if they wanted to. Like, I was going to say the drill has been broken for some time, but you could potentially repair it. And they would repair it and use it to break into this secret area here. So you can move the drill around the map, you can rotate it, you can do all sorts of stuff with it. And this is from that video that I showed you earlier. I put this into a video editor and I cleared out the backdrop, removed the green screen, which is very easy in video editors. Most of them do that. So basically, yeah, it is an animated token now. But I figured my players will want to use it, right? And now they can drive it through the map. When we were playing around with that and you were testing it out, I was really happy too, Mondu. The video editor I use is Wondershare Filmora. I bought my license for Wondershare like 3 years ago, and I've continued to get updates for free, and they've added all sorts of cool features. Where Wondershare gets you is when you start buying effects or like overlays, but you can make and import your own, or find some online for free. So you don't really need to use all that stuff, but the core tools itself are great. It offers green screen removal, it offers, you know, sound editing, video editing, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I have mixed feels about Adobe as a whole. Can I show how to do a 2-story house? Yeah, Jay Noble, I'll show you that. Give me 1 second, okay? Been kind of jumping around ideas and plans and suggestions here. We kind of covered this earlier, but I'll cover it again. Well, I was building a map earlier. I've been working on a, like a big, huge, cemetery, but I got distracted and we've been just doing support all day. So this building is a multi-story tower. a round tower that I built before we added round and diagonal rooms and stuff like that. It's pretty much 100% objects. And that's the way you're going to build multi-level at this time until our next update releases, in Q1 of next year. Multi-level has to be done by hand. So you got to roll up your sleeves and kind of get the elbow grease ready so you can build it kind of like Lego or blocks. There's a few tools you use in tandem. So what you would do is, first and foremost, you're going to disable collisions. What this does is it allows you to merge objects much closer to each other than you normally would be able to. Notice this rock, when it's by this other rock, it's like, no, you can't do that. So when collisions are off, I can merge this rock together to make a new, unique, interesting rock that's different from before. Same concept goes into building a multi-level. You need objects close to each other that don't interfere with each other's colliders, so that's one thing. What this also does is it allows you to raise objects up and down. Okay, now if the colliders were on in this building, it would not, this roof wouldn't work on it. So I have colliders off, right? The roof actually could be over the top. Now, each of these levels uses similar principles, and I'm going to show you what I did here. I essentially picked a floor. These floors, these wooden ones, were on the workshop, but we do offer some like round floors that are stone under structural round constructions. So my base floor is actually one of these. And what I did for the bottom floor is I found a snapping point by holding control. Many objects in Dungeon Alchemist snap to the grid, and if you hold control, an object that isn't snapping, if it's free floating, will snap. So I made sure the first point of this building was snapped on the ground somewhere. That means when I want to align the floors above it, all I gotta do is hold control and make sure it's at the right height above it, and it'll snap into place, allowing alignment. So the first floor, I put it down, decorated it. I made sure everything in this room is on top of that stone slab. The walls, the objects, everything in that room is on top of that. The benefit is you can move it as a solid piece, you could scale it as a solid piece, and you can raise it up and down as a solid piece. Okay? This makes your life super easy when you're building multi-level. So you build everything on the ground and then you raise it up and then stack it on it. So this next level, I built it all on that wood platform, bring it over here, snap it into place. Boom. Done. That's essentially how prefab like skyscrapers are built and stuff like that. They'll have a crane and they just lift the pieces in, snap them into place, bolt them all down, weld them or whatever, and they're done, right? Oh, that's the wrong height. Oops. Oops. There. Now, when I was putting them into place, I had to raise them to get them just right, so it took me a minute to play with that until I was happy with it. But other than that, it's really just a matter of kind of stacking stuff. Now, you can do this with a lot of objects. These round constructions can just go up and up and up. You could do it with stone pillars, metal pillars. So like these bad boys here, these are great for building walls. Just start snapping them into place. City walls, fortresses, I mean castles. You could build the entire outlying structure with just this. And I'm holding shift and control to make sure they continually snap. Jay Noble, I hope that helps you out to some degree. Okay. So Lazarus, pretty much all the next update, all of our objects that interact with verticality, like pillars, stairs, etc., are getting depreciated and updated. There's a lot of work going into making sure that they're compatible with the next update. One second, I'm trying to find a video to share with you. Now, this is very work in progress footage, alpha. Notice there's textures missing and stuff. It's because we haven't made all the ceilings yet. Not really, Blarker. Because how does Foundry work with images? It's just a flat thing. So you would just export each level as a separate scene, which will be how it will be done. We're going to keep it simple, so it'll work with as many virtual tabletops as possible. We're not going to be doing any like module support or anything like that. So each level will just export as a separate layer. Kind of like Photoshop, you know, how you have all the layers, you can export them separately. Same thing with this. Each level will be a new map. And then you would set that as a scene in Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, etc. There really isn't a true like multi-level support yet for any like virtual tabletop, save like 3D ones. Yeah, we're not going to be working with the Ripper module, unfortunately, and I don't know why everyone seems to think that. We don't offer 3D exports of any kind, and we have no plans to, unfortunately. Dungeon Alchemist just wasn't made with that in mind. It was made for top-down exports. And many of our objects are like smoke and mirrors, like these walls. This isn't like heavily detailed pixeled walls. It's a flat wall with a texture map on it to make it look detailed. The stair is just a bunch of flat pieces with a texture map on it. So essentially, we have no plans to offer true 3D exports, whether it's for 3D print, engine export, or for virtual tabletop play. That just will likely never happen, unfortunately. But with Foundry and Fantasy Grounds, essentially we're going to go with the KISS methodology, keep it simple, stupid, and or keep it stupid, simple, so it works with as many virtual tabletops in their stock settings as possible. So each level will be... Gotcha. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't expect Dungeon Alchemist to make something like our maps compatible with a module or a plugin or anything for any type of virtual tabletop, because at the end of the day, those are third-party modules. They're not stock features, and they lose support all the time, whether the creator loses interest or, you know, maybe just stopped working on it, or, you know, maybe their health or any number of reasons. Ripper is pretty consistent, but a lot of modules just kind of get orphaned. They don't get updated. And so it would be kind of sad to put a lot of time and effort into supporting a module and then all of a sudden it just stops working. Oops. Yeah. Where is... Oop-a-bup-a-doo. What am I looking for here? Oh. Why? Oh, I had a shortcut for my, like, Fun with Objects teasers, and it disappeared. Okay, weird. So in the new update, you'll be able to, you know, cut out the floors and ceilings, do balconies, terracing, and stuff like that, and that's where the stairs integrate with the level above. So you would use the existing staircases to essentially work with this system. I do know that we're talking about either making duplicates of every stair, so you have a mirrored version, and we're working internally to try and either make like mirrored stuff, but that's like, you know, whether it'll work or not remains to be seen. Fifth Ninja Turtle, yes, but only if you build your building with that in mind. So you need to use objects that allow traversal between those spaces. So, for instance, like my 4-story tower that I was just showing a bit ago, the floors and the stairs have colliders on them that allow you to navigate through them. There's a hole. Whereas if you just kind of use a random object that may look like it has a hole, it may have an invisible wall that won't allow you to traverse it. Does that make sense? So it's all about how you plan the order of operations for your building. For now, at least. But yeah, our next update will incorporate multi-level as a stock feature, including the ability to generate, balconies, terraces, mezzanines, all that stuff. The first iteration of multi-level will likely only offer flat ceilings and roofing, and then eventually probably, dome and, angled, stuff like that. But we just got to get the basics in first and then go from there. But this is great to show the kind of iconic pub type situation. I mean, you could do all sorts of stuff with this. An operating theater, the tavern with the terrace, mansions, castles with big library spaces and stuff like that. There'll be an option to jump between the floors. I don't know if it'll jump the token up automatically, per se. There'll be a little interface on the right side that jumps between the levels, but I don't think it'll take objects, mainly because Dungeon Alchemist isn't centered around play, so you're trying to do something, it's not its core feature. You know what I mean? The tokens are essentially in place so you can navigate the space and create, virtual handouts, video, pictures, etc. But if you look at this video carefully, on the right side here, you see this arrow and number. You'll be able to jump between the floors with this interface. I believe you can use the plus and minus key as a hotkey and then jump between the floors by doing that. I mean, pitfalls already exist in Dungeon Alchemist. We offer bottomless pits and pit room types of all types. But yeah, you'll be able to go much deeper too. Dungeons, you'll have traversals between subfloor or subterranean up to upper floors. There isn't any talk. I didn't have an answer for you on Sealy Seth, unfortunately. So basically, if there really isn't any talk of it at this time. Jump option? What do you mean, Michelle? Oh, to jump between the floors? Sorry, I guess I should have answered you. I apologize. I got a little caught up in answering this. So, basically, there really is no talk of custom textures. If anything, we'd probably rework the whole terrain texture tool altogether because it really is kind of lacking, and the devs are really wanting to fix it or make it better. So it would probably be redesigned from the ground up and then maybe later, something like that. I don't know if they'll allow custom textures, to be honest with you. But for now, you can always, use an abstract, cover the whole map with a custom texture. That's what a lot of people do if they want to replace it with something we don't offer, like an astral sea, clouds, etc. So the rails are already in DA. You can snap them together just fine. They've been in DA for over a year. They're in the object menu. In fact, I encourage y'all to browse the object menu quite detailed. If you haven't in a while, go into the structural menu, go through each of the drop downs, look at everything in them. It helps tremendously. Uh-oh, did my DA freeze? Yes, it did. We'll give it a minute. Scooby Doofus, if it does, it would be well after we leave early access. So, you have pipes, right? These snap together. You have rails. These snap together. I incorporated these in a mine map that I use. They work great for railroads, mines, stuff like that. The pipes are good for sewers or, like kind of like steampunk builds or big industrial complexes, stuff like that. But abstracts replacing the ground is kind of the way to go right now. Like, for instance, this ship map, that entire cloudscape is just an abstract. So it's a good way to replace the terrain with something we don't offer. You can also import custom terrain through the asset importer in a similar regard. Yeah, the magic update, I mean, what I love to do every time we have a new update is go into the object menu and go to new objects, because you could see all the latest objects that were dropped in the last update. Just objects alone, there was like close to 700, I think. And many of them are interactive and animated. Like the crystals are cool because you can change their colors, for instance. Of all these different color options for the crystals. You got all these Fey plants that really improved the diversity of the plant options, rocks, new stuff like that, and then tons of magic objects. The flesh pit is quite disturbing. Or if you need a sarlacc. But the abstract objects are your best friend when it comes to inserting something that's not currently in Dungeon Alchemist. Whether it's a repeating texture, a floor tile, a wall, you can make all sorts of stuff with abstracts. Or the asset importer. Like people are importing doors into here, or gates. That's a really cool thing that I've been seeing a lot of lately. So like a gate that opens and closes. Hold on. Let's sort by most recent. I could have sworn there was a couple this week. Yeah, like this gate here. So he put a button on it so you can open and close it. Isn't that cool? But yeah, Scooby Doofus, if anything, VTT Lite features won't happen until we've delivered on all our remaining stretch goals. We have 5 major updates left until we leave early access. Just based on our track record, I would say 2 to 3 years is a good estimate. Yeah, the workshop stuff, I mean, it's a combination of people getting more skill as they get better and better making assets or learning how it works within DA. There's some people that just copy assets from other sites and bring them over, and others make them from scratch. So it's kind of, the ones made from scratch, I've noticed a lot of people are filling in the gaps, like things we don't have. You know what I mean? Which is great. Helps a lot. Here's some like sci-fi stuff. I mean, you can find all sorts of neat stuff. Extra tokens, tanks, stuff from cyberpunk, modern. I mean, there's laptops, there's computers. I actually was building a floor plan because I'm putting together a proposal to do our first convention in the US. And I thought, you know what? I could build a floor plan in DA. Why not? I mean, you can use the flat abstract to make a roof run amok. There's no reason you can't put roofing tiles on this. And then you raise this up, and then it could be a roof. Flat, of course, but yeah. So this is kind of a prototype of a booth I'm whipping up. But, I mean, there's modern assets in here. TVs, computers, like, little things. I put some stock stuff. Yeah, because here's the thing. I'm putting together a pitch to share with my bosses, right? And I feel like, I mean, I could draw a map or a layout, a little top-down floor plan and have some artist stuff, but this is a really good way to kind of like put it into a 3D space and let them interact with it too. I'm almost done with this. It's coming together. So if you look at it in the top down here, you've got a digital table, so there will be a TV tabletop, analog table, printed maps. We've got a Kraken mat that I'll put on the wall here. Some TVs with laptops hooked up with demos. It is pretty cool. Anyway, I just kind of like showing that it's possible to do some at least basic modern concepts, especially if you start downloading assets. Okay. Oof. Save some of the work I did. Let's see if my autosave did. I have my autosave interval set to a minute, so more often than not, it'll catch things that I missed. Yeah, if you go to our, I mean, you could see first off in the patch notes, it goes through every update, and every major update is a stretch goal. The magic update, you know, you read that, it tells you the overview of that update. The treasury. Everything is lava. But you can also go to our wiki, and it has a breakdown of past updates. You can go to our roadmap on Upvoty, which has a breakdown of what we're currently working on and future planned updates. It also doubles as a suggestion board. So people come in and, you know, make all sorts of suggestions as to what we should incorporate into our future updates, and they make comments as to that and upvote it. And essentially, the ones that get the most traction are more likely to be implemented as that type of feature. Not every feature is viable, right? But some we do incorporate. Like multi-level was made and added strictly because of community feedback. It was never something we planned on doing when we promised our Kickstarter stuff. Okay, so now I overwrote the save so I don't have to redo that. Let's just keep going with this. I'm going to put out as much work as I can today before we wrap up. Man, I do wish we had a hotkey for collision toggle. If there is one and I don't know about it, I feel stupid. By the way, we only have a couple minutes left in the stream, so if you have any last-minute questions, inquiries, feedback, suggestions, now's the time. Yep. STL, GLB, FBX. GLB/GLTF, because they're like similar files. They're like the same thing, just variations of each other. You know what? I think I want to leave a walkway on this side too so people can walk through. Right? What's up, Michelle? Oh, gotcha. Hey, Seth, I'm glad you made it back. And I'm sorry you got a lot of rough stuff going on in your life. Hopefully we'll see you around more in the future. And, you know, you're welcome back anytime. The next update's getting really close, sometime after the new year. So we're getting really close to, you know, native multi-level A lot of cool new, interesting features being rolled out as well alongside of that. One second here. We showed the rail connection feature that'll be a little bit more streamlined. One of my new favorite features that's being incorporated is the custom object brush feature, where you'll be able to take any object and turn it into a brush, including objects from the workshop, speeding up your workflow tremendously. Hey, no worries. You're welcome back anytime. Have a good one, my friend. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. But yeah, the rails have been in DA for some time, just snapping to them together using a quick feature like modular tool. That's coming in the next update. So currently they just snap together, but you gotta grab them one at a time and bring them over. It's kind of a pain. I'm honestly very excited for this next update. Can't wait to see your work there. What I'd really like the modular object feature to work for is any of those stone, like the ones I use to make castle walls. It would be cool if you could just quickly snap them together and just, and it just like, or you do an up or this way, and it's kind of like, you know, essentially like Tetris blocks just forming together. I don't know. But there is a wall drawing tool, something being in the works for sure. Okay. Yeah, basically. So I wanted this to have raised graves that were like terraces that were higher. So I think I'm going to start having stairs go up this way. OBJ is not supported, I don't think. You can convert an OBJ, though, to one of those other file formats. I don't think it's directly supported. I mean, the object brush does have certain things like that to a degree. That's how I did this, like, entire funeral plot. Yep, that's what I said, Michael. Or Michelle. Is that it can be converted. Indeed. I mean, pretty much any 3D file can be converted into another 3D file. That's just a lot of work, though, at the end of the day. Nice. Did you know technically you can convert an image into a 3D file? Just gonna throw that out there. See if anyone knew that one. You can convert SVG, so you can convert SVG files into extrusions, i.e. 3D files. Where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Here it is. So for instance, this here, this is the Battlefield 5 logo, right? So I actually took the image of Battlefield 5, like from one of their media kits, the V, and then I converted that into an SVG file. It was like a PNG. And then I put that into a 3D model, editor, a 3D sculptor called Thingiver or Tinkercad. And then I just raised it up and then put one on top of it. But yeah, I also have an SVG extrusion of Outer Worlds, like the video game's logo. I love that. So, photogrammetry then? But I went to like E3 a few years ago, and I was able to meet the devs from Battlefield, including the creator of Battlefield, Lars Gustafsson. And he signed this, and we got a picture together. It's like one of my favorite pieces of swag. Very custom. How I did floors. Man, I should just spend a stream once a week talking about how to do multi-level for like 2 hours straight, because that's all I did today. Okay, so how did I do floors? So the first floor is what everyone knows how to do. You use this tool, right? You draw the room. Everything above that, you got to do by hand using objects. Objects can be raised up and down if their collisions are off. They can be snapped. They can stack. So you see this lovely bell tower? The first floor was a normal traditional room that I drew adjacent to this chapel. Everything above it, I used objects. So, in objects, there are structural objects, i.e. objects used in construction. And I found some wood platforms, for instance, to make the kind of structure of the supports in the bell tower. That's just some of these platforms stacked on each other with stairs in between them. The wall, I went into structural, freestanding walls. These walls can be placed anywhere. They can be rotated. They can be resized. They're not restricted like these ones that can only be placed on a foundation. So with that in mind, I took this wall, I got it kind of lined up where I wanted it, and I raised it up till it was roughly the right height. This particular map, I really messed it up, though, because I did it off-grid. So once you get it lined in... What just happened? Did y'all see that? Did I just stroke out a bit? Okay, so I've got my first wall, and then I can just continually place them in these positions, right? To make a second floor. Same with the third floor. It's more repeating the same. Raise it up. Snap it into place with the control key. Hold shift to duplicate it. At the end of the day, it's kind of like blocks or Legos. You just stack them on top of each other. Takes a little bit more time, but it's possible. You use that same exact principle with flooring, whether it's a stone slab or a wood platform. There is tons of these in here that can work as a floor. This one's a really nice one because it's big and it snaps into place. So you just put it as the next floor, start snapping them in. This only will work with certain doors and windows. Notice this one's cutting it off. So you got to be careful in the selections you do when you're building this. So multi-floor is essentially just a practice in patience for the most part. Well, there's two ways, Roy. The first one is you do the invisible roofing option that is on the workshop. And the second is you just don't let it occupy space in your head. You ignore it. Because honestly, at the end of the day, I've never heard of a player even noticing the indoor and outdoor lighting bothering each other. Basically, there are... It's a curse we have as DMs. We notice everything. We're very observant. It's probably part of the reason we became DMs in the first place, is we have a penchant for the details, so to speak. So basically, because we are so fixated on those details, we notice them, and we're like, our players are going to be so irritated, the immersion, they won't notice it. They're there to kick goblin butt and collect loot. You know what I mean? So for right now, it is kind of irritating. The invisible roofs can help block it out if you get it just right. Notice the larger I make it, it kind of starts blocking stuff out. But when you have a huge structure like this, at the end of the day, it's going to be really hard to do, because you're going to have to get it very, very big. Oops. And I lost track of it. Oh, it's up here. So it creates like a shadow and prevents it from getting inside, right? But unfortunately, that is kind of a band-aid solution for now. It works great with like smaller little square structures, but if it's a huge building, it's not that great in my opinion. Also, if you lower it down, it's a little bit easier, I guess. See, I'm just going to keep making it larger until it covers the whole thing. Our next update will get rid of this issue, the indoor-outdoor lighting, separate outdoor-indoor lighting. It will get rid of it entirely. So just a few short months and you will never have to deal with it again. But in the interim, just remember we are in early access. Little things like that, little quirks and things that are bothersome are on our to-do list. We are working on them, making them, less troublesome or irritating every day. Do keep in mind though, it's seemingly exclusively a DM issue. I have never heard of a player once talk about this being a problem. There are hundreds of DMs who complain about it, but I've never heard them say, hey, my player said this. It's almost exclusively that. So, and I don't say that to be like rude or crass. I say that because I want you to understand at the end of the day, it probably is something that doesn't require that much attention. In all my time DMing, I've never had one of my players complain about it. How many DMs do we got in here? Raise of hands if you're a DM. Tell me, have any of your players ever complained about the shadow leaking in from the outside? So just a yes or a no? Not yet? Nope. We as DMs are cursed to be detail-oriented. And at the end of the day, we just got to know, we got to kind of accept what's good enough, you know what I mean? And be happy with it sometimes. Seeking perfection will cause a headache, you know what I mean? But Roy, I do know that we will have a solution for you soon. And I know it is frustrating. Trust me, it used to bother me too, but then I just kind of got over it. It kind of, once I realized my players are really just there for loot and to kick things butts, they don't notice that, they don't care about it. They will more than likely skip over all the intense details and hours I put into a map just to breeze through it in 10 minutes. Or they'll spend 5 hours at a door that's unlocked trying to get past it, that has no magic on it whatsoever. So it's usually never in between, it's one of the two. Yes, or yeah, the player who did notice also is a DM. It's so true though. I hate it. It's frustrating. I love being detail oriented, but at the same time it's a blessing and a curse. You notice like patterns, you notice little things other people wouldn't, but then at the same time it's like at the end of the day it ends up being more troublesome and it stifles your creativity and your art process because you're like, it needs to be perfect, when in reality it really just needs to be good. I hope that doesn't sound like me making an excuse. It's just really the truth of the nature. Honestly, I don't mind having a rules lawyer at the table from time to time. What I don't like is when they're like, actually, what I do like is they're like, let me confirm that, because I just feel like that might be wrong. And then we, oh, is it all right if I take a minute to look it up? That's fine. Go ahead. Or, you know what, actually, I think you might be confusing things. You know, something like that is fine. Like, as a DM, you're going to get scatterbrained and forget things, or mix up rules, or, you know, it's hard to remember every aspect of all your player character sheets at your table. So, I mean, we're human. You know, at the end of the day, we're going to make mistakes. Anyway, honestly, today's stream was a blast. We didn't get a whole lot building done, but we got a lot of productive teach outs, a lot of support today. We covered a lot of really interesting concepts, advanced building concepts that are people who are trying to break out of the, you know, basic, you know, building mold and want something a little bit more advanced. And I'm all for that. Remember, at the end of the day, if you have questions like that, that's what these streams are for. Pretty much every stream is AMA format except for maybe the Dam Challenge, which during the Dam Challenge, we're trying to, you know, showcase maps from a competition. Yeah, I don't mind a player being like a database for me and helping, you know? At the end of the day, it does not bother me in the least. There is kind of a line, though, because remember, like, as you're a DMing, you may have some homebrew content or rules that's definitely not the same. So, like, I will have a rules lawyer who kind of metas sometimes, meta games, and they're like, wait, they shouldn't be able to do that, or they should be dead by now. I'm like, they should, you know, based on normal 5e rules. I think that's looking pretty good, though. It's looking mostly straight. It's not perfect. Good enough. Session 0 and like hard like a rule like list of things that you're not comfortable with, like a comfort list is always good, because then it makes sure your storytelling won't breach into areas your players aren't, you know, comfortable with, and also make sure all your players are on the same page. Hey, see you later, Michelle. That's looking really good. So next session, what I'll do is I'll start the road that way, because that's where the caretaker's place is going to be. So essentially, I'm going to put like a little kind of like a cottage over here, and like a big like tool shed, and like a property that's just like beautiful and well maintained. Roy, thank you for being here. Everyone that was here, actually, well, I appreciate you all being here and supporting this community initiative today. I'm sorry I didn't get a whole lot of building done, but it was my pleasure to answer all your questions and provide guidance and support. We offer several streams throughout the week, every Monday, every Wednesday, and every Saturday. Okay, you can find us like clockwork, same damn time, same damn channel. Monday is Mapmaker Monday. It's hosted on a variety of platforms. It's a multi-stream, meaning it's available on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Steam, TikTok, all simultaneously. So you can pick your preferred platform and watch there. Wednesday is a Discord exclusive stream because we can't multi-stream to Discord, so we offer a stream just for our Discord community every Wednesday called Office Hours. Office Hours is pretty much live, hands-on support and guidance. I have a notebook, which I keep diligent notes and collect feedback and suggestions, and I pass it on to the devs when I have one-on-one meetings with them. Additionally, it's just a fun place to hang out and get to know the other like-minded cartographer community, share feedback and suggestions, talk about your campaign, stat blocks, homebrew ideas, encounters, maps, and then occasionally, because we're nerds, we dip into pop culture and talk about other things. Like, I think a couple weeks ago, we talked about Stargate for like a half hour. You know, it's sometimes on those streams, they're a little less structured and just more fun, whatever comes up. You know what I mean? That's Office Hours every Wednesday. That's at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UTC. And then every Saturday, alternating Saturdays are different streams. So Our upcoming Saturday stream is called the Damn Challenge. It's a bi-weekly map making contest where we encourage our community to kind of flex their map maker muscle against each other and show off their skills. The current theme is Feast. So using Feast as inspiration, you make a map of any shape or size. You submit that to the Damn Challenge channel in our Discord. There's some rules pinned at the top, 4 simple rules. Make sure you follow those rules to qualify. If your map qualifies, then you have a chance to win. If you win a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Your map is featured in our Cartomancer Chronicle newsletter, a weekly newsletter, and it's the first map featured on the Damn Challenge stream, giving you like 20-30 minutes of FaceTime with the community. Your map is seen and, recognized and beloved by everyone watching. We showcase other entries during that stream until we run out of time, and if we have time, then we do support. The opposite Saturday is called the Damn Stream. That's a showcase of community maps and assets, but it's an AMA format, meaning you can pop in and ask questions related to Dungeon Alchemist, and I will provide guidance. I will stop whatever I'm doing and help you. So if you need help, assistance anytime through the week, you can drop into the streams if we're live. You can hop into the wiki and see if there's an answer there, or you can drop into Discord and create a support or a question thread, spin up a thread, and I guarantee you within half hour, an hour, someone will pop in and start trying to guide you and help you. Whether it's myself or a moderator or another staff member or one of our very active community members who just love helping each other out. So remember, when we're not live, you can get guidance and support throughout the week. Again, my name is Mac. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making utility available on Steam. We do offer a free demo now for Dungeon Alchemist, so if you're looking at this, you're like, man, I want to try it out, see what it's like. You can try before you buy, see how DA runs on your computer, kind of get an idea of what it'll be like before you invest in it. Otherwise, I, had a lot of fun hanging out with you all. Thank you, everyone that was here, whether you were lurking or actively chatting, whether you were a new or an old timer. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. My name is Mac. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Mac out, everyone. Bye. We're going to run a quick ad, and we're going to wrap up the stream, okay? Let's see here.
But can it handle curves?
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 Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map-making application for role-playing games, now comes with both round and diagonal walls. Create amazing professional maps for your players in seconds. Get it now on the Steam store.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. You have a wonderful week. See you Wednesday with office hours or Saturday with the Damn Stream. Mac out. Bye.